Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Good Monday afternoon. Thank you kindly for joining us. Live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. We're presented by Ting Fiber Internet. Crazy fast internet through Ting. They power this network. It's the best by far, and it's not even close. We have a special offer only through ilovecville.ting.com where you can save $288 on the best internet in Charlottesville. Folks, I'm going to let you know how the last 72 hours played out for this show. Monday's program, I kind of take the weekend and consider the news cycle over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and even Monday morning to plan the show. I was doing that this weekend. I spent some time on Friday afternoon. I spent some time thinking about the show and kind of getting ready for the rundown, which you see on screen, Facebook or Twitter if you're watching. Look at the screen. What's on the right is called the rundown. And I spent time thinking about it over the weekend. As I'm preparing for the show, as I'm looking after my Bambino tray, as we're having a good time getting ready for the Super Bowl, I get a notification on Facebook that the mayor of Charlottesville is choosing to go live. I'm like, well, Super Bowl Sunday, interesting timing. Why don't I take a look? Folks, I got through about 28 minutes of her Facebook Live, and then I texted a couple of friends who follow City Hall closely, and I said, this is absolutely better than a Hollywood script. She went nearly 2 hours in a discombobulated Facebook Live talking about things like Game of Thrones, the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, the plantation that is Charlottesville, Virginia, the fact that she had no idea about the city manager and who was going to get hired, and how the other 4 counselors went behind her back and made this hire. She talked about what white people always do, her relationship with Lloyd Snook, Heather Hill, and Cena McGill, and how dysfunctional it was. She talked about Lloyd Snook lynching her during this Facebook Live. This is all verbatim from the video. So what I'm going to try to do in the next 18 minutes before we welcome to this program, and you need to tell your friends about the show, tag a friend, get on text message, and let people know what's going on. You haven't read this anywhere. You haven't seen this in the news. You haven't seen it on TV. You haven't seen it in the Progress, NBC 29, CBS 19. No one's reported this yet. After this show, what I'm about to explain to you will be in the entire Charlottesville and Central Virginia news cycle. After this show, what I'm about to explain to you will be in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, the Roanoke Times, the Washington Post. Mark my words, it's not there now. It will be by 1:31 p.m. when we sign off air at 1:30. So this is what I'm going to try to do. It was a discombobulated Facebook Live that was nearly 2 hours, and frankly, I'm not going to subject you to 2 hours of discombobulation. You have a bit more time, than to spend 2 hours listening to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 6 clips. Here's the rundown that the team and I have been working on. And these 6 clips are going to be done in order so I can kind of give a flip book or a timeline of what's happening. I'm going to set the stage first before playing clip number 1, which is Mayor Walker talking about what she's been doing since 2018. Judah, you should get that clip ready to go. Judah Wickhauer is our director. So the mayor, and I'm giving the Cliff Notes version first, and then I'm going to play it so you hear it from her, what I'm about to talk about now. The mayor has been using a Charlottesville City credit card tied to City Hall, and she's, since 2018, been utilizing that credit card to purchase gift cards in the increments of $25 value gift cards for people in the community that are private citizens. And she is vetting, using her own personal criteria and personal standards, who gets these gift cards. So if a person gives her a good idea or presents a good plan of attack that the city of Charlottesville should be utilizing, she pays them a gift card as a compensation thank you. She literally says this on camera. I swear to God, she says this on camera. We're about to play this. Here's the problem. You cannot use Charlottesville City credit cards to buy gift cards for private citizens and choose by your own personal standards and criteria who gets that compensation. Because it's taxpayers' money. The credit card is taxpayers' money. And I'm going to bring up to your attention Paige Rice and Sherry Ayasheta. We're going to ask you to remember those two names, Paige Rice and Sherry Ayasheta. More on that in a second. Let's play the first clip. You will see this in every news outlet after this show is over. Judah, are you ready? Yeah. The first clip, please. Mayor Walker on what she's been doing since 2018. 3, 2, 1.
So I get this email, so I go looking for this memo on the 3rd. And it was this 4-page memo from the city attorney that talked about a counselor who was illegally using city funds. Now, before I go into any detail, you don't have to be a reader of any time in history that you understand what plastering on the front page of any paper, but especially our daily regress, that there was an internal investigation, and I don't know how that investigation went because nobody interviewed me about me, because it said a counselor, but it was me, misusing funds. A conversation that by the time I had found out had been going on for 2 months and had already involved the prosecutor, Joe Platania, in deciding whether he would prosecute me. That was after the whole city manager thing, which we're going to get to in a second. But what did I do? Speakers come and speak, typically about how to infuse equity in the conversation, and I pay them. Community members come up with solutions that people who are making $60, $70, $80, $90, $100, $200,000 can't come up with, and I give them $25 gift cards for every hour that they spend and devote to helping us heal this community, right? Bringing the people in who can be a part of the solution instead of keep paying some of the same people who have perpetuated the current state that we're in. That's what I'm guilty of. I've been doing that since 2018.
Okay, so that's the first clip I'm going to relay to you. And I'm going to do this in straightforward fashion. I'm just going to present the evidence to you without any opinion or anything along those lines. I'm presenting to you and nothing more. The second clip, before we get to the second clip, I would like everyone who's watching this program to please remember Paige Rice. This is what I'm about to relay to you was research from a number of media outlets, including coverage from the Daily Progress. If you remember Paige Rice, she was the former Charlottesville Clerk of Council, the Chief of Staff for Council in Charlottesville. She was handed a 6-month suspended sentence in July of 2019 after pleading guilty to misdemeanor embezzlement charges. Misdemeanor embezzlement is what she pled guilty for. This was, in a nutshell, over an iPhone and an iWatch. An iPhone and an iWatch were purchased for roughly $766. After Paige and Charlottesville City Hall parted ways, Paige kept the iWatch and the iPhone. In fact, she transferred the iPhone from one plan, which I believe was an AT&T plan, to a Verizon plan. Okay? So she kept a watch and a phone that were city issued and owned by the city. Long story short, Brian Wheeler, Director of Communications, was trying to get this back. It was a little back and forth. She said, I don't have it. I paid for the watch, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, Charlottesville decided to bring charges against her for $766.98 over a watch and an iPhone. I also would like for you guys to remember former Charlottesville Registrar Sherry Ayasheta. Sherry and former electoral board member Stephanie Commander faced charges for using city tax money to cover up city-issued phones for Iachetta's husband, Pat Owen, and Commander, neither of whom held positions with the city at the time. So here are two examples. The reason I'm presenting these examples to you is because these examples are in the same stratosphere of using city funds for purposes that are not the right intent, okay? Paige Rice took a phone and an iWatch. Despite not being employed by the city, she took it and she kept it. That's illegal. You can't do that. Iachetta and Commander use city taxpayer money to set up a phone plan. Okay? This is illegally using funds of the city or doing things the wrong way. Whether you know or not, that is not an excuse. More on that in a second. Let's get to the second clip. Do you have that ready to go, Judah? The second clip is the plantation that is Charlottesville, Virginia. Listen to this. Play this in 3, play this in 2, play this in 1.
But what was so alarming about this is that I had just recently talked to the director of finance because I was having issues buying gift cards. I called the bank, then I sent them an email, called them, say, hey, Chris, I can't purchase these gift cards. And Chris said, oh, let me check that out for you. Well, according to this later email I got that's dated December 8th, when apparently my questionable credit card charges started being a thing that could possibly be prosecuted, that Chris was very much a part of, my email to Chris said, Chris, if you thought I was doing something wrong, why didn't you just tell me? And now we're going to you see this face, this black, you see I'm speaking to you aggressively right now. Same tone. It's not aggressive. You might not want to hear what I have to say. I'm persistent. You might want me to shut up. But I'm not aggressive. None of them can ever say that I've yelled, cursed at them. Heather can say it. And Lloyd can, Mike Signer. There are a few people that can say that. I'll tell you. And I have told you in the past who. But I just called you to say I'm having this issue. You know that you're a part of a team trying to put something together. Now they're trying to be helpful, and according to my colleagues and according to them, helpful would have been, hey, we don't think you should do this, and this is why. Helpful doesn't mean that you are talking to the top cop, because that's what Joe Platania is, about me, never giving me the opportunity to explain. You're not saying that I've done anything fraudulent in terms of using these gift cards or benefiting, paying people and benefiting from it, any of that type of stuff. You're saying that what I've consistently said, I will pay people for their time, that I did that thing, and you thought you should spend your time setting up your mayor. The plantation that is Charlottesville. The most alarming thing about all of this.
Okay, so that's the second clip I think that you guys should be made aware of. The Chris that she's mentioning in that video is the director of finance, Chris Cullinan, I believe his name is. Joe, who's going to join us on the show, coincidentally, the interview was planned 10 days ago. So this interview coincided, coincidentally, with Mayor Walker's Facebook Live. Now, I will say this. I have respect for anyone who's come on the show. I am a man of my word. And when I welcomed Joe on this program, it was to spotlight his campaign for Charlottesville Commonwealth's attorney. He's running again. So when I welcomed him on the show 10 days ago, it was to discuss his campaign, his platform, and why Charlottesville should elect him again. I will maintain my word, and I will 99.9% of the interview. Joe, I'm doing this to give you a heads up before the interview starting here because I think you're watching. I will maintain my word, and the interview will be about you running for a second term here as Commonwealth's attorney in Charlottesville, Joe. I will ask you one question, Joe, about this situation with Mayor Walker. One question at the end. I'm giving you a heads up. I think that's fair and very reasonable of what I'm doing here. Now, the next clip I need to play is Joe is 5 minutes away, so I want to skip the Game of Thrones clip and save it for after the interview with Joe, where Mayor Walker is talking about Game of Thrones, the Red Wedding, and how she makes a comparison to Game of Thrones in Charlottesville City Hall, where she was going to name characters from Game of Thrones and label them the characters in Charlottesville City Hall. I couldn't believe this when I was hearing it myself. But I have another clip. It will be clip 4, Judah, when she talks about Councilor Lloyd Snook, Heather Hill, and Sina McGill, that I think is more important, perhaps less entertaining, but more important that you guys should hear. And we should also get to the city manager clip. We got Joe in 4 minutes. Can we play the clip? Do you have clip 4, Judah, ready to go? Yeah. Okay, so that's the one where she's talking about Lloyd, Heather, and Sina. Lloyd Snook, Heather Hill, and Sina McGill sit on the dais with this person next to Mayor Walker. Here's what she's saying about Lloyd Snook, Heather Hill, and Sina McGill. Judah, in 3, 2, and 1.
When you all are talking about the dysfunction that is Charlottesville, you will have people creating the dysfunction. Lloyd and Sina, Councilor McGill, and Snook have consistently, you hear me, taken me talking about your actions upholding systemic racism, system of oppression, as I'm calling them a racist. Now, Lloyd could tell you that I got really close with him, because I'm not sure about him. I'm just not. To add to the dysfunction. He's heard this because I tell people what I'm thinking. But what I've said to him and Councilor Hill, and that Councilor Hill, wow, that you would not create a different world than the world we're trying to survive in if you were in charge of it. So no, I don't trust you. And yes, I'm monitoring you very closely. And if I see any signs, then I'm calling you out. And that's what I do. He doesn't like it, and he often says, "You're calling me a racist." Who I did not expect to hear these type of things from is Sina. I don't know Sina well, didn't spend a significant amount of time with her. But I watched her. I listened to her just like you all did. I voted for her. And I thought, hopefully this is a person I can work with to get what we said we would do, which is aligned together. That's not turning out to be so. Sina decided maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, that she would only have email conversations with me, and often don't respond to emails. The conversation that I remember before she made this decision was her on vacation, walking down a beach. I think we were on the phone for 2 hours. And when she explained, hey, this is some of the concerns people have, if I don't agree, I tell her, but I have always listened. I do think, and I have some major issues with Heather and some things that I have seen Heather do over the past few years. And I don't respond to Heather very well. Sina has taken that personally.
Okay, so much more to get to, but I have to be very mindful of Joe's time. And again, I'm going to reiterate this before I get Joe on the line. Joe is running for a second term here as Commonwealth's attorney in Charlottesville. When we lined up this interview about 10 days ago to 2 weeks ago, the Facebook Live that Mayor Walker had yesterday was not even in the universe. It was not a reality. We lined up this interview about 2 weeks ago. As a result, when I welcomed Joe on the show, I said we would be talking about his campaign. I am a man of my word. Honor and integrity are important to me. I will stick to that plan of talking about his campaign, except for one question at the end of the interview about this. Okay? I think that's without question me showing that this is a welcoming place for anyone to come on the show, and I am not using shock jock tactics. Okay? That's why I'm reiterating this. I'm going to get Joe on the line. Judah, it's ringing. We have him here. Joe, first I want to thank you for joining us. I set the stage with everybody that this interview was set up 2 weeks ago prior to anything that happened on Facebook with the mayor. So 99.9% of this interview will be 100% about you and your campaign. It's an important caveat for those that are watching. First, Joe, thank you for joining us. The show is yours. How are you doing?
I'm well, Jerry. Good afternoon. Thanks very much for having me on.
It's our pleasure. How'd you enjoy the Super Bowl? How was your weekend, sir?
Well, I'm a Steelers fan, so, we started out well, didn't finish up so well, but, Tom Brady, I think, is in the conversation for being the GOAT, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it was an anticlimactic Super Bowl, but we certainly have to admire what Tom Brady has done as the GOAT in the National Football League. All right, Joe, we'll cut to the chase. You're running again. What's inspiring you for a second term?
Well, one of the things I thought about when I had to decide whether I was going to throw my hat in the ring for another go-around was the first thing that hit me is the team we've assembled. And I'm incredibly proud of everyone we've got working in the office, combined 91 years of legal experience with the lawyers, great support staff, great victim witness advocates. We've done a lot of really good things over 37 months. We've only been in office for 37 months. We had the August 12th prosecutions. We've responsibly reduced the jail populations. We started a therapeutic docket. So we've done a lot of really good stuff in 37 months, and there's more left to do. And I decided that, our team should be rehired for another 4 years.
Joe Platania, our guest, guys, running for a second term, Commonwealth's attorney here in Charlottesville. Joe, you now have The Progress, NBC 29, and CVille Weekly watching you on the program. How about this? Twofold question. Most challenging aspects of that first term? And the second part of the question, because we're optimists here, the aspects of that first term you're most proud of.
Well, the most challenging aspect of the first term for myself and for everyone else in the office was the community dealing with the aftermath of August 12th, 2017, and just the trauma that our community had been through. And we dealt with it in the court system with some criminal prosecutions. And so that was difficult for us as lawyers, but that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do. But just being present with the community and the very slow process of healing from all that was quite tough on everybody. And that's our office in the community also. The second part of the question about what we're optimistic, what was the second part of the question?
You're most proud of from the first term.
So again, I think what I'm most proud of is the resilience of everyone getting through those first 37 months. We also, the first 12 months, we were dealing with the August 12th prosecutions. And then the last 12 months, we were dealing with COVID hitting the court system. So I think that resilience is one of the things I'm most optimistic and proud of. We've been through an awful lot in just 37 months.
Second term, goals, objectives, items from the platform you want to highlight. And the second part is, what's now till the third going to look like for you?
So one of the things that we started doing before COVID hit that I'm a big believer in is community prosecution. And that comes from when Eric Holder was the Attorney General in DC. And he sent prosecutors out into the community to develop relationships with people before they were in court, or before there was a crime, or before they were a victim. So we had done tremendous amounts of outreach as an office. And actually, when the attorneys were evaluated yearly, we had a block for what outreach have you done, and we kept track of it. So COVID has really drastically interrupted that. So I'm very much looking forward to getting back into the swing of getting out face-to-face with people in the community when COVID passes. And then also we're looking at restorative justice as an alternative to prosecution in the traditional path of, going forward with being in court and trying to find some other ways to deal with conflicts between people.
We were chatting with Juan Diego Wade, and I asked him, when you're running for council, what's the impact like on the family? Like, what's the conversation like with your family? Because they're going to be seeing less of you. And he showed really, a good sense of vulnerability, which I think really appealed to everyone. Same question for you. I mean, so much time spent away from family. How does that conversation even start? How does it go? What's the response to you running again?
Great question. And I think it's a great question to ask everyone that wants to be a public servant. First and foremost, as my wife reminds me, and anyone that knows me and that knows my wife, is quite aware I've married up. So
you outkicked your coverage?
Whoa, by a lot, brother. She points out to me, look, you've signed up to be a public servant, and that's part of the deal. But it certainly is something that your partner and your children have to be made aware of. I've got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and you are away from them, and you don't spend as much time with them when you're campaigning and when you're doing the job. So it's important to me personally, I'm not going to judge what anyone else should do, to make sure that they were supportive of it, and they certainly were, and that's important to me. And again, it's part of the job. You have to, if you're a public servant, you have to sort of understand there's going to be some sacrifice. What does
your 12-year-old and 10-year-old think Dad does for a living? Do they have any idea at all of what you do?
My 10-year-old daughter could care less. I try and engage her in conversations, and she's just like, I'm just going to go paint, Dad. So she just no interest. My 12-year-old reads the Daily Progress. He's been known to wear a bow tie. He likes to go door knocking. So he's a little more involved in civics and criminal justice issues. So he tracks it a little more closely. But I will tell you this, neither of them are that impressive.
All right. So Joe, if you win a second term here, and you certainly got a lot of folks in your corner in this community, but if you win a second term, your leadership yet again here in Charlottesville, the phrase that's being thrown around is what? Stabilizing the organization. Anywhere you want to go on that topic when it comes to Charlottesville government?
Another great question. So, there's different constitutional officers in city government. So the sheriff, the commissioner of the revenue, the treasurer, and the Commonwealth's attorney. So we're constitutionally elected officials, and we answer to the voters and the public. So we are part of city government, sure, but it's not as traditional as other department heads and city council and the city manager. And while I've always enjoyed a very good working relationship with council and the city manager, in some ways we're siloed and independent, as it should be. And again, we're answerable to the community and the voters. So my focus is really on our backyard at the Commonwealth's attorney's office and making sure we don't bring stability to the office, but that we continue the stability that's been there for a very long time, going back to Dave Chapman's 24 years.
Great answer. A couple more questions. I know your time is valuable. We're about 8 minutes in. Why do you think folks should vote for you?
So I'd like people to check out the website, joeplatania.com, and people should vote for me because of what our campaign slogan is this time around: proven, progressive results. We delivered.
And the first term proved it.
I'd like to think it did. I don't want to sort of come across as arrogant, and we certainly made mistakes, and there's things that we didn't do right, and I take responsibility for some of that. I'm not saying there's nothing to improve upon, or that we can't listen to different and better ways to do things. But I'm proud of the record that we've established over 37 months, and I'm very proud to run on it.
Multiple questions coming in from folks on Twitter and on Facebook about your take on that parking garage downtown. You have a take on that?
That's not really in any way part of our job responsibilities, so I don't really have a comment on that.
That's fair. All right, the last question. I feel like I've been fair this whole interview here. with what we were going to talk about. I kept my word here. The last question, it was something that came up last night on the mayor's Facebook page. I'll start open-ended, and I'm going to continue to be fair here. Your thoughts on what she's saying with using a city credit card to purchase gift cards for citizens?
Well, I did watch the lead-in, Jerry, and as a journalist, I appreciate the question. You're free to ask it. You've been very fair with me, but I'll answer globally as a prosecutor. We don't ever comment on the existence or the lack of existence of a criminal investigation. We get asked to look into stuff, and this is not the situation that you referenced. We get asked, because of the nature of what we do, to look into stuff all the time. And we're ethical and professional and responsible, and we don't comment on that because it's not fair to the people that may or may not be investigated. So just in a very general sense, not to that specific situation, we wouldn't comment on that as an office.
That's fair. That's fair. That's completely fair. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you for coming on the show. Would love to be able to catch up with you as we get closer to crunch time here and just talk about the campaign and highlight all the work you're doing, Joe.
Jerry, thanks for having me. I'm happy to come back anytime. Appreciate it.
Okay, you have a good day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Okay, so I think that was fair from both sides. We certainly did not expect the comment from the Commonwealth's Attorney of Charlottesville, right? But I had to ask the question. I think we both handled that fairly. Before we get to Keith Smith, and Keith Smith's about 10 minutes away, where we're going to talk about the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Telethon that we're going to host this Friday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to be live for 12 hours on every social media platform possible from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. this Friday, with the hope of raising $150,000. And if we can raise $150,000 this Friday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., then we will have the money for the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust to buy some land on 10th Street Northwest. 10th Street Northwest, kind of close to Peloton Station. Okay, we can crowdsource the purchase of land. Before we get to Keith Smith, I think there's more content that you should watch or listen to. And what I've done here is yesterday, if you're just tuning in, the mayor of Charlottesville did a 2-hour Facebook Live that was, all over the place. I have no better description of that. It's always discombobulated and all over the place. That's a fair description of what that was, okay? And I'm being fair throughout this entire 47 minutes that I've been on air, because I see every media outlet in this town watching right now, and this has not been reported anywhere, okay? And it's important to understand that you should be talking about this. We should be talking about this. Using a credit card that's tied to the City of Charlottesville to purchase gift cards for private citizens, and you as the mayor have your own rationale or standards or protocols of who gets compensated by these gift cards, and these gift cards are covered by essentially taxpayer money. I was talking about this with a buddy off of air. If you work for a company and they give you a phone, if you work for a company and they give you a laptop, you have enough common sense on that laptop not to do personal stuff on it, right? If you work for a company and they give you a phone, or if you work for a company and they give you an iPhone watch, and that phone and that iPhone watch are for company use, and you don't work for that company anymore, you have to give the phone and the iPhone watch back. That's common sense. If you work for a company and that company gives you a credit card, and that credit card is for expenses tied to your job, like maybe it's a lunch where you're meeting with a citizen, or maybe you have to travel to Richmond to meet with another elected official so you can learn about your municipality, you can use the city credit card. But what you can't do is use the city credit card to buy gift cards and then have your own grading system, your own rationale, your own standards of compensation for private citizens. Wow, Tim, you over in North Downtown, you gave me a really good idea. Here's $75 to Food Lion, 3 $25 gift cards. Hey, Steve in Belmont, I hadn't thought about that idea on the West Main Streetscape. Here's 4 $25 gift cards to Harris Teeter. Lorraine. Hey, Lorraine. Thank you for meeting me. I hadn't thought about that concept when it came to the Market Street parking garage. Can you present that before council? Here's four $25 gift cards to the Kroger. Can you present that before council? Because other people need to hear it. Right? Right? Number 3 clip. Do you have that ready to go? Please. I mean, we're about to talk Game of Thrones and the Red Wedding. We're about to talk Game of Thrones and the Red Wedding. And who are some of the characters from Game of Thrones? Judah Wickower.
There are too many to name.
Who's the Lloyd Snook of the Game of Thrones? Do you think that's Jon Snow? Is Eddard Stark going to be the Lloyd Snook? Ramsay Bolton, is he going to be the Lloyd Snook? Robb Stark going to be the Lloyd Snook? Is Bran Stark going to be the Lloyd Snook? How about Hodor or Gilly or the Night King or Gentry? Well, why don't we ask Mayor Walker who Lloyd Snook is in Game of Thrones? Judah, let's cue up that clip. 3, 2, 1.
Some people think because I talk about race, black women with black children and black family members all the time, I mean, it's kind of always a part of my life, that I don't know how to treat white people. And because I don't go around making white people understand that, hey, you white person, you on my team, because guess what? My people know they my people. And my people are not asking for me to put a banner up that say they my people. There are some people with very questionable behaviors. And even when those things happen, I still advocate for people. I mean, it could be 3 o'clock and you do something that's like inviting me to the red wedding on Game of Thrones. Y'all remember that scene? Game of Thrones, mine is that last season, was a bit interesting. But the red wedding is something I've often thought about since my time here. I was going to put up a few years ago, match the people in City Hall with the characters they will represent on Game of Thrones. But I thought that was, maybe not professional. So I didn't do it, Michelle said go high. So I had this thought before she told us to go high. I do have a question, Mrs. Obama. How long we supposed to go high? Because it's real hard to go high. Let me tell you how personally I'm taking this. My whole family depend on me. My whole family. My friends love me and they depend on me. I'm that person in my personal life that gets stuff done, that people come to with their questions. And if I'm not here, what happens to them, right? So that's where we are.
The Red Wedding, Game of Thrones, Heather Hill, Lloyd Snook, Cena McGill, Michael Payne. I mean, you can't make, this is a Hollywood script. We are watching reality television literally play out before our eyes. Literally play out before our eyes. And I got 6 more to go that we aren't even going to get to today because I got to get to Keith Smith in a matter of moments. Maybe we'll save some of the ammunition for tomorrow. That's why I threw away the entire show rundown that we had put together by Sunday morning, because by Sunday afternoon, after hearing this 2-hour discombobulated monologue, where straight up, I'm no attorney, but straight up, I believe that is a confession on camera to wrongdoing, the first clip. The second clip we played is a comparison of Charlottesville, Virginia to a slave plantation. The fourth clip we played was the relationship with Lloyd, Heather, and Cena. The clip I just played was a comparison to Game of Thrones, and now the one I'm about to play you, number 5, J-Dubs, you ready? Number 5 is straight up her saying, I had no idea who they were going to hire for city manager. No idea. Number 5, 3, 2, 1.
What the search firm basically told them, now I wasn't in the room, okay? But they were told that their best chance pretty much of stabilizing the community and getting a city manager that anyone would want would be if I wasn't here. So that decision from the 4 of them to delay the city manager search is with the hopes that I don't run. This is a campaign year, November. You all will be voting for 2 city council seats. And that is how that decision was made. There is an article in the paper. If you go and look at that letter in the paper, there is a computer Charlottesville City Council in the signature box there. And I had to say, the next time you all decide something, don't say council. You need to put the 4 names that agreed to that.
I mean, she's straight up saying she had no idea who they were hiring, and they used a stamp for Charlottesville City Council to stamp an approved document for the new city manager, as opposed to individuals signing the document because they wanted to use the stamp to give the impression it was a unified decision. That's what she just said. This is like the best Hollywood screenwriters in America could not come up with a movie script like this. The best ones could not come up with a movie script like this. Welcome to the show, Charlottesville Tomorrow. Welcome to the show, Richmond Times-Dispatch. So for those that are just watching the program, get number 1 ready to go again. Get number 1, please, sir, Judah Wickauer, ready to go again. So for those that are just watching the program, I'm going to put a bow tie, I'm going to dot the I's, I'm going to cross the T's on the topic. On Sunday afternoon, the mayor of Charlottesville did a Facebook Live that was roughly 2 hours long. During this Facebook Live, she talked about what I've been doing wrong. Specifically, it sounds like a crime committed. And is also posting screenshots. You got the screenshots, Judah? From a memo that is circulating within City Hall. Post the screenshots. This isn't even a FOIA request. This is just stuff found on Facebook. She posted a memo that's circulating around City Hall on whether or not she committed a crime in regards to purchasing gift cards as early as 2018 and purchasing these gift cards through City of Charlottesville credit card and using the City of Charlottesville credit card to buy gift cards in $25 increments, which she then leveraged or utilized as a form of monetary system or compensation system. Come to me with good ideas, and I will compensate you $25 gift cards. Come to me with good ideas and present those ideas in public forum in front of the dais at open meetings, and I will compensate you $25 gift cards for your ideas. I have no confidence, she says, in the 60, 70, 80, 100, $200,000 employees in City Hall. Instead, I will use the credit card issued by the City of Charlottesville, and I will buy gift cards. And I will crowdsource ideas from citizens in the community. And I will be the standard for compensation when it comes to quality of crowdsourced ideas. And if I like those crowdsourced ideas, I will compensate you $25 gift cards, despite them being purchased by city-issued credit card. Play number 1 again for the Times-Dispatch. 3, 2, 1.
So I get this email, so I go looking for this memo on the 3rd. And it was this 4-page memo from the city attorney that talked about a counselor who was illegally using city funds. Now, before I go into any detail, you don't have to be a reader of any time in history that you understand what plastering on the front page of any paper, but especially our daily regress, that there was an internal investigation, and I don't know how that investigation went because nobody interviewed me about me, because it said a counselor, but it was me, misusing funds. A conversation that by the time I had found out had been going on for 2 months and had already involved the prosecutor, Joe Platania, in deciding whether he would prosecute me. That was after the whole city manager thing, which we're going to get to in a second. But what did I do? Speakers come and speak, typically about how to infuse equity in the conversation, and I pay them. Community members come up with solutions that people who are making $60, $70, $80, $90, $100, $200,000 can't come up with, and I give them $25 gift cards for every hour that they spend and devote to helping us heal this community, right? Bringing the people in who can be a part of the solution instead of keep paying some of the same people who have perpetuated the current state that we're in. That's what I'm guilty of. I've been doing that since 2018.
We're going to continue this conversation throughout the entire week on the I Love CVille network. Keith Smith is going to join us in about 2 minutes. This Friday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., we're going to raise $150,000 to purchase a piece of property in 10th Street Northwest. The first crowdsourced land acquisition in the history of Charlottesville, we're going to attempt on Friday as we ask 3,000 people in this community, the Central Virginia community, to donate $50 each. Okay? Those details to come. Before I get to that story and to Keith and the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Telethon, which is on Friday, I want to dot the I's and cross the T's before playing the last clip of the day. Judah, get 6 ready to go, and then we'll get to Keith. I ask everyone that's watched this program to consider this. I'm choosing my words carefully. Paige Rice was a former Charlottesville Clerk of Council and Chief of Staff. She got popped. And why she got popped was because she kept an iWatch and a phone that didn't belong to her past the time she was employed at City Hall. And guess what? That's against the rules. If you have equipment given to you by your employer, you have to give it back when your employer terminates your contract or you're quit. That's the rules. And the rules are clear cut. If you keep the equipment, you're going to get popped, and she pled guilty to misdemeanor embezzlement. Former Charlottesville Registrar Sherry Ayasheta and former electoral board member Stephanie Commander also got popped. They used taxpayer money to give Sherry's husband, Pat, a cell phone. They used taxpayer money to give Stephanie Commander a cell phone. That's against the rules. And they got in trouble for it. The rules are clear. They're black and white. There's no gray area. In regards to Mayor Walker, using a credit card that's been given to you by the city, by City Hall, a credit card that's covered by taxpayers, me and you, in our hard work, and using that credit card to buy gift cards, $25 increment gift cards to use as a compensation method or a monetary system is wrong. And there's clear-cut rules about that. Becoming the arbitrator or becoming the judge or becoming the god of that payment system. You get paid a gift card because I like your idea. Your idea is no good. I don't like your idea. Don't worry, there's plenty of gift cards here. I got this plastic thing, and this plastic thing allows me to get more gift cards. I keep it in my pocket. It goes everywhere with me, this plastic thing. That's wrong. Last clip, number 5. The most devastating thing of all this, in her words. Number 5, J-Dubs, let's do it.
You mean number 6?
Number 6, thank you, J-Dubs. Let's do it. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, my friend.
I think that is one of the most devastating things of all of this, is as liberal and progressive as we call ourselves, the moment that people are not responding the way you think they should respond, you revert back to what white people have done forever and say, you know what? We'll make this decision that is best for us.
All right, guys. I'm going to reach out to Keith. We will carry this topic to tomorrow's show. There's significant comments. I see them. I see them. I see them. I see both TV stations, the daily newspaper and the weekly newspaper watching. And we see the newspaper in Richmond watching as well. I've said this so many times over the last 3 to 4 months. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to get to Keith. The most important election in the history of Charlottesville, Virginia is the 3rd of November. Not only do you have a West Main Streetscape project that's over $50 million, not only do you have a Market Street parking garage in a promise between the City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, a parking garage that's probably in the neighborhood of 10, 12, 13 million bucks. Not only do you have school reconfiguration, not only do you have a new city manager search that you have to do, not only are we still coming out of COVID and are facing a massive budget deficit, not only are we experiencing massive affordability issues here. Judah, can you tell our kind leaf blower who we're employing to turn that off, if you could, my friend? Just give him cut that off. We're working hard here. Thank you so much. Very grateful. Thank you, Judah. Thank you. You're a good man. It's the most important election in Charlottesville history. $50 million West Main Streetscape project, $14 million Market Street garage project coming out of COVID, budget deficit, still fresh on August 12, 2017, massive affordability issues here, cost of living more expensive than ever, school reconfiguration issue, this city manager search, permanent city manager search coming. This is the most important election in Charlottesville history. Get to the booth and vote. Keith Smith, I'm ringing him now. Thank you, J-Dubs, for doing that. Keith, I got you on that. We'll hit the telethon, and then we'll see you shortly. I'm actually going to see Keith Smith in 15 minutes here at I Love CVille. You got a lot of people watching you right now, Keith Smith.
Working people in real estate behind.
Is that Yona and Emily?
That's Yona and Emily.
Welcome,
Emily
welcome.
to my right and Yona to my left.
Hello, welcome back, Yona. The show is yours, Keith. What do you make of any of these topics? You may not want to touch them. You
think?
And if you don't want to touch them, that's cool too.
So look, I won't criticize the mayor's intent. That I'm sure deep in her heart she's doing this for the right reasons, what she believes is the right reason. I think this just raises up. In fact, I know she's doing it for the right reasons in her heart, but I think what this does, it raises up a question that I've been speaking for a while. Counselors need staff members, right? They should have staff members to help them guide them through what they can do and they can't do. Richmond has it, some other jurisdictions that I know that work in that have that the staff members do a lot of this kind of work and will help keeping the elected officials, because at the end of the day they don't do this every day. This is not their primary job, right? And so that would be my only comment on it. Joe Platina's answer was spot on. If there's something in the works, nobody can comment on it, but I would never want to question an elected official's intentions.
There you go. Well, I did today.
I know that.
I certainly did for about an hour.
I mean, again,
I know if I work for a company, I know I can't use that company's credit card to buy gift cards for my friends.
yeah, but in defense of the mayor, and I might maybe take the counterpoint here, the staff, if the staff members knew what the mayor was using the card for some time ago, that was the time to say, look, Mayor, you realize you can't do this, assuming she can't, right? You can't do this. So in her defense, that's what staff is there for. My question would be, why didn't you say something? And I think that was one of the points she was trying to make.
She did. She definitely tried to make that point. All right, telethon on Friday.
Oh man, I'm super excited. A little disappointed.
Ooh.
I couldn't find
Powder blue?
our 19th powder blue tuxedo, so we're going to have to use our normal tuxedos, for lack of a better term, because we're going to try to do a Jerry Lewis style approach to it. But we're going to get there. We got some wonderful people lined up to perform for us and do some artistry for us, and then you and I do what we do best.
I can't wait.
Is be us.
It's this Friday. Whether it's Batman and Robin, Eric Cross has nicknamed us Sparky and the Mailman.
Really?
Yeah, that's the new one from.
So, whoa! Time out. Who's Sparky and who's the mailman?
I asked him that question, and he says, "Come on, you really have to ask who's Sparky and who's the mailman." I asked him that question too. He said you were the mailman and I was Sparky.
Could be similar to Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I do want to make a quick comment on it, so that, I've never seen Game of Thrones. I don't even know what it is. So I was trying to figure out what your references were.
It wasn't my reference, it was her. She was comparing the cast of Game of Thrones to the people in City Hall.
Unless it's Seinfeld, I'm pretty sure not.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like watching this, and I know my friend Keith wears so many hats here, and he has such integrity that he's going to choose his words and play it close to the vest on this topic, okay? He's going to play it very close to the vest on this topic. Still, I'm going to throw this to you anywhere you want to go. I'm sure you were watching the show, right?
I hate it when you do
Were you
that,
were you watching the show?
Of course I was watching the
What
show.
did you make of some of these clips?
Again, you know how I'm going to answer that question. I think the mayor believes in her heart she's doing the right thing, and I get that. I just wish she had, I wish she had staff to help her direct her through this so she would not get herself into trouble and ultimately negate the good work she's trying to do, right? That's the real sad thing here, is that, I think I know, I had a couple of one-on-one conversations with the mayor, and they were very warm and pleasant conversations, to be honest with you. So I think her intentions are golden or true, but she seems to be getting herself into trouble because I don't think she has anybody to guide her, right? She doesn't have a Gandalf in her life, right? To help, I'm serious, to help her guide her through this. And that's why I've always been advocate of staff members being attached to one or two. And I realize that the city manager technically is that job, but that particular person has to manage a pretty large organization, and he can't do both, or she can't do both. So there really should be an assistant at that level to help them out. I found in jurisdictions, by the way, that I work in, that there is that. Things are done much more efficiently.
Great answer, Keith. Keith, you play that well.
Did I?
Yeah, you handled that.
It's honest. It was from the heart. So.
You handled that well. Give me a take, or give me some thoughts on Friday.
I also wrote down notes.
You handled that well. I knew you handled that exceptionally well. Friday, telethon, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think both of us know that we're not going to get this in between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. We know that, right?
I literally put on my calendar midnight.
Yeah, I know. I said that to my wife. I'm like, with me and Keith doing this, there's no way we stay on schedule.
So we're supposed to have a meeting here.
Right, in 9 minutes, 11 minutes.
Which I'm not going to make, by the way, so that you know I'm running late.
Thank you.
Somebody called me in late. I won't say who. But the reality of it is, our Susan Steinmark, the executive director for the Land Trust, gave us an agenda of the things, and I kind of looked at it and I go, yeah, that's not going to work. Jerry and I are just going to go blah blah blah. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Here's the game here. This is what we're trying to approach here. We're trying to raise as much money as we possibly can, so we can drive this price down of what we're going to build, so we can hit this. Hopefully, I personally want to hit like a 50% AMI, area median income, instead of 80. 80 is our maximum we can go to. We've done 60 over at Nassau. I'd love to drive it down even further to help the folks that are really in need to buy a house. But we're kind of doing this on our own. We don't have any fee. I mean, there's zero. The city just can't afford to give us money to do this. And similar to what we did on Nassau Street, they gave us $240,000 to buy the land, and that money is gone. COVID has evaporated that money. So we're trying to do something. And actually, one of my brother-in-laws, my oldest sister's husband, is an associate producer for Viacom, and his whole world is what you do for a living. The digital platforms. And I asked him, I said, have you know anybody who's ever done this before, that has crowdsourced and digitally crowdsourced to raise money this way for this type of thing, affordable housing? Now, if it's true or not is a different story, but he said no, and I would take him on face value.
I don't know anybody that's crowdsourced. I don't even know this. I don't know anyone that's crowdsourced the purchase of land, let alone doing it in a social media telethon.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the social media telethon end of it. He said nobody's ever done that. So, hey, this is a great opportunity to donate. This is a great opportunity to help fix something, $50, whatever you can afford on that end of it. And like you said before, you'll get to drive down the street and said that I'm part of that. And but if we can raise more money than what we're shooting for, we only can drive this price down. And that's really personally what I want to do.
My friend, you're a class act. I will see you in a few minutes. I'm
a little older than you. You got to give me enough time to walk from my office to your
Are you
office,
riding your bike over here, or are you walking?
I'm going to walk. It's too cold to ride a bike.
Okay. Well, I'll see you shortly. Hey, you're A+ people.
Well, back at you. Thank you,
We'll
buddy.
see you soon.
Later.
Take
Bye.
care. It's this Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to ask 3,000 people to donate $50 each. If 3,000 people in Central Virginia donate $50 each, we have $150,000. That $150,000 will be utilized by the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust to purchase a piece of land on 10th Street Northwest, close to Peloton Station. That land will translate into 5 units of affordable housing tied to AMI. It's the first crowdsourced land acquisition in the history of Charlottesville, Virginia, and it happens this Friday. I'm hoping that 3,000 of you guys give $50. You drive by that land 18 months from now, and you could say, I contributed to those 5 units and help make these 5 units affordable for families that need them. And that's worth something. That has value. That's called being a community steward, a conscious capitalist, a social entrepreneur, just being good-hearted and giving back. That's the show. We'll see you tomorrow. My name is Jerry Miller. For Judah Wickhauer, this is the I Love CVille show. You guys have a good one.